every Saturday night from 6
She's
to
got
7.
a gorgeous voice, hasn't she?
Yeah, and it was all last night at the proms this last week, and her husband's there. He's an American. She's got 2 children. Beautiful home she's got, but she's so sincere. It's really, I really enjoy it.
Yes, she's lovely on Songs of Praise as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
She was on last Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Just made me feel cold. This Catherine Jenkins with this beautiful voice, standing on the cliffs of Cornish, Cornish Isle, standing there in a frilly, beautiful sort of dress, right down past of layers of it, and I'm thinking, I wish she'd got a cardigan and I'd feel a bit warmer.
It was in Wales. Was
it? Well, it doesn't matter where it was. It was standing on the edge of a cliff. Underneath it, she had Wellington boots. She had to scramble up the cliff before she could sing it. Oh dear. Yeah, that just made me smile.
Hi.
Hi.
Thing. Did anybody have a bit of a Zoom thing where you had to needed to update or something? No.
No.
It just took me ages to get into it.
Oh yeah, I had that the other week.
Was it okay?
On a Sunday morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway,
I've
done
not done anywhere.
It's put my timing off a bit.
Well, you can't very well sing when you're on a Zoom because you're all different times, isn't it? So you've got to, on a Sunday, what we do at our worship meeting, we all go mute so that we can sing it, but the music comes up, but so that we all...
So we don't hear each other, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame, actually.
Well, it's something to do with the atmosphere. If you're singing together, you don't come in at the right time. The sound doesn't get to people somehow.
Well, it's sound, isn't it? It's the...
Yes. Even
it's like if we're... It's like if we're watching something on our iPad in the same room, or Sue and I, it's always different, by a different...
Yeah.
That's why we wear earphones and that, know. But, Stella's not joining us today. Stella isn't joining us today. No. What's that? Why is that, Sue? Sue?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
She had to wait in this morning, and they wanted to go out and enjoy the weather, so they've gone out this afternoon. Her husband and her.
Sounds fantastic. I want to do the same.
It was lovely down the seafront this morning.
Yeah. Harry, Stella and her husband are still on lockdown. They aren't allowed out. So if they go out, they have to go in the car. And it's...
I'm the same, Julia.
Yeah.
Sue's the same. But you're allowed to go out.
Yes, the same thing, yes.
I've been out to our village this afternoon.
Oh, lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Is that the first time in a while, Jean?
First time, yeah, for quite a long time, yes.
And were the shops open?
It was open, yes, but very, very much restricted. You can't go into the shop and buy what you like. You've got to sort of say what you want. And it's a new thing for me. I expect it is for you.
Yes, our corner shops like that, Jean. You just go up to the door and then you say what you want, and then they go and get it, bring it to you. Yes, the same there.
Strange time, isn't it?
Out at Orcombe Point, they've got Bumblesea. It's a cafe thing, and you stay down the bottom of the steps, and only one's allowed up at a time. And there's a bell when you can go up, and we had coffee out there yesterday. But it was, and there's a chap behind. Have you gone up yet? No, waiting for the bell, somebody says, and then you go up. But it's quite slow, but it was nice coffee, so it was well worth it.
It's kind of, you have to adapt, don't you, to a different pace and just be like, okay, it's going to take a while.
It's never going to be normal, is it?
I'm not sure I can be bothered. So unless I really need something like from the supermarket.
Oh, no.
I can't envisage a time when I'll want to stand outside a I don't know, whatever, a clothes shop or a something,
No, I
like
won't.
just to go and have a look. And you know, you're not, even the fabric shop, they're saying you can't go in unless you know what you want to buy, because there's going to be limited browsing time. And that's my absolute favourite thing about going to the fabric shop, is to browse and to feel all the fabrics and all of that kind of thing. So there's no point in me going.
I totally agree with you. No.
And
Did you see on the news last night how they were queuing up outside shops to go in yesterday?
Yeah.
I thought, how ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. And I went down to the co-op to just get a few bits and pieces, and it was about 4:45, and there was a queue outside the sports shop. You know, the sports shop that's opposite the old closed post office?
Yeah.
There was a queue outside there, and Jeff said to me it's because they were giving a 50% discount to NHS workers yesterday. There was a queue at 4:45 of people. Must have been like 20 people, and it's only a small shop in Exmouth. Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you know what you want to buy, you know, you're prepared to do that. Because if you just come off duty at the hospital or in the dentist or wherever you're working, you know, that maybe is the only time you can go. You're prepared to wait, aren't you?
Yeah.
I would, I suppose if I knew what I wanted something and it was half price, like you might see me there. Like,
yes.
So you
like
get
a big
quite...
sale at Harrods or something like this. I mean, people queue for miles, don't they? Yeah. They're allowed in all at once, and there's still, you know,
but I think
6 o'clock in the morning, there's 15 people there already.
I think for children, I know my daughter's goddaughter, she's 10, and she's gone up a size and a half in shoes since the lockdown. And her clothes are all getting too short. She's just shot up. So, you know, they've had to and she's very particular with her clothes. She's got type of autistic. She's type of autistic. And she's she can't wear anything with seams and things like that. And it's very difficult.
That's so interesting that you've said that, because I don't know if her mum does sewing, but there is a brand, I can't remember what it's called, but I only saw it. I was only reading about it yesterday, and it was a brand of sewing patterns specifically for children who had problems with particular kinds of clothes, and one of the things they mentioned was seams, and also the clothes, you can wear them back to front and it doesn't matter, so that they can have the independence of putting the clothes on themselves and doing it by themselves, but it not looking wrong. And I thought that was really nice. I'd never seen anything like that before.
Someone who knows their problems.
How have your weeks been, folks? Have you
Yeah, it's not too bad, thank you.
Yeah,
all right, thank you. What about you? Did you have a nice birthday with your mum?
I did. It was lovely. She made me roast beef dinner, which I wasn't expecting. So it was lovely. Yeah.
You managed to get through it, did you?
Oh yeah, I struggled on, Julia.
Did you have roast beef and Yorkshire pudding?
The works. It was amazing. Apart from that, I made a mess. My neighbour's friend works at Tesco, and she got a crate of bananas from Tesco for free. She was giving out sacks of bananas. She gave me three bunches of bananas. So I thought, I know, I'm banana cake. It's banana bread. It's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And my kitchen didn't thank me. Electric whisk and, flying everywhere. It tasted good in the end.
Oh, good. Just that the clearing up took 3 hours.
It took a while, yeah.
I'm just saying the clearing up of just spraying it everywhere.
We've been eating loads of strawberries because my son-in-law from his allotment, he's got a glut of them. So they've been bringing us strawberries. So luckily we like strawberries. So we've been having strawberries a lot. So they taste so much better when they're grown, grown. You agree, do you, Jean?
No, not really, no. I've been taken to the shop in the village and just picked up 1 or 2 things. It's only a very small shop and it's very restricted. You can't go in or anything. So I just needed 1 or 2 things.
Harry, I saw that. What is it? It's a massive
A wasp, I think.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge.
Don't wave at it. Don't wave at it. Wasps don't like that.
Oh, yeah, I know. But
Don't argue with a wasp. They can walk down your arm. They don't sting.
Shout in a minute, he's been stung.
Yeah. If you hear a scream, send the...
No.
Right, anyway. Open the window, hopefully it'll disappear.
Put some jam on the windowsill.
There we go. 3. There we go.
Right. I haven't seen any wasps yet. I've seen.
It was a bee. It was a, I don't know what sort of bee, not a bumblebee, but one of the smaller ones.
Yeah. Just an ordinary worker.
Yeah. Yeah. How about, have you been up to much?
I've been to the village this afternoon.
The village.
At Shebbear. And Shebbear, have you heard of Shebbear?
Yeah.
There's a college there. Children's, a big college, been there for about 100 years.
Wow.
So has it got nice grounds and things like that you can walk around?
Lovely, yeah, very nice, yeah, very nice. And they board there as well, you know.
It's a private school, isn't it?
It's fairly private, but yeah, it's fairly private.
Is that where you live, Jean?
Well, I just live out of the village, about 2 miles.
Oh,
I live on a farm.
Yeah.
I live on the farm.
How far are you from Barnstable?
Or about, I should think we're about 15 miles.
Oh, yeah, awesome. More
Right,
nearer
so
South Molton, is it?
Yeah, my
Nearer
home
South
was,
Molton.
yeah, I was from South Molton, but I was
Oh, were you?
I was born in London and I came to Devon when the war was on. So I've lived here ever since. But we've married and we've had children and we've moved about a bit, you know. And we live on a farm now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we don't milk any cows, but we've got sheep and a few things. But I don't do anything, and I just sort of stay about, and I've got grandchildren and great-grandchildren that come to see me occasionally, and so that's quite nice. But I'm retired really, and I've got 4 quite fine children, and their siblings, and they pop in to see me every now and again. So that's quite nice.
Oh, that's nice.
What?
Do you play? You play the matriarch, do you, Jean?
Yes, I'm the great granny. I'm the great granny.
Do you live by yourself, Jean? Who lives?
No, I live with my daughter-in-law,
Right.
and she keeps an eye on me. Yeah.
Sounds as if she needs to.
She needs.
I'm looking through the window.
Oh, you're looking through the window.
What are you? What did you used to have on your farm then?
We used to have cattle and sheep and chickens.
You must have had to learn a lot very quickly, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's a sort of it's a farm, and and there was quite a lot of land to use, so we managed to keep. And we've got a little dog here who's very active. He's not a farm dog really. He just wants to work. He's always wagging his tail. What are you doing, Gerald? What are you doing? Come and show yourself. Come and say hello.
Come on, Jerry, you can jump up.
Yeah, come on, jump up.
There he is.
Oh.
You,
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
spaniel.
That's Gerald.
This is Gerald.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Springer?
Big floppy
Bring us
ears.
Yeah,
Springer.
Springer.
Yeah, lovely.
Very busy little dog.
He looks after you, doesn't he, Jean?
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does.
Julia,
runs
you... Oh, sorry.
He runs off with their shoes all the time.
Yeah. Where are you, Gerald? Where are you?
Julia, you were saying about sharing like a favourite poem or a favourite like desert island discs or something like that.
Well, I was just thinking for next time, maybe I mean, up to you, because, you know, not you, Harry, I mean, as a group, you know, it was just an idea if we brought favourite poem, a bit out of a book, I don't know, or do something like a desert island disc, your favourite disc. You don't have to sing it, but, you know, you could say why you liked it. You know, what was your favourite song, or some story about it. It doesn't matter, but it was just a thought, just an idea. I don't know if anybody would like to do that.
You made me think of something. So I found this. I don't know if you can see that come up on the.
Can you read that?
On the chat. Can you see
She
that?
blew her.
Silly.
Yeah, she blew her. Can you see the whole thing? I don't know what you can see. It cracked me.
I can't see anything.
Well,
There, look. And so
can see you, but-
here I am on my macaroni.
here I am on my macaroni, and now my days.
Cannelloni.
I don't even know what the word
No,
is.
because you don't eat pasta, do you? So you don't know what any of these things are.
Well, that should work then.
No, I haven't got it on mine.
Je ne spaghetti rien.
Oh, spaghetti. Where's spaghetti?
Je ne spaghetti rien.
Yeah. Do you like vegetables? Do you like?
Oh, yeah, we love vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like vegetables. When you get older, they don't like you sometimes.
They don't like us, do they?
I saw a really funny poem about Donald Trump's birthday online the other day, which I could share with you if you wanted.
Oh, yes, please.
It's by somebody called Brian Bilston. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No,
But he's a British, he's very clever, and nobody really knows who he is. He's sort of anonymous. But this poem is called On Sharing a Birthday. And he says, it's important to share, or so I've been taught, to show kindness to others, to be a good sport. But now all of those teachings have taken a bump, for I share my birthday with Donald Trump. For years, I knew not of this dark, dreadful fate. And with ignorant bliss, I honoured the date. But then it got hijacked, sullied, gazumped by a self-serving bigot, a foul gibber lump. I'd be happy to share an invasion of fleas, a mouldy bread roll, an infectious disease, 2 nights away at a toxic waste dump, but please not my birthday with that sewage pump. Some alternative days that he might like to try, the 12th of September, 33rd of July, and a few party games in case he gets stumped. Pass the buck, pin the blame, take a big running jump. But 14th of June should be free of riffraff. It's for me and Boy George, Alan Carr and Steffi Graff. How I hope that these words will give him the hump. Find a new birthday, you deranged orange chump. I thought that was quite funny.
That was written with feeling, wasn't it?
It certainly was, yes.
It's the same guy, Natalie. Strangely enough,
Is it?
this pasta one.
Did you know
I don't know.
You know that?
I didn't.
Ah,
I didn't.
he's written some good poems.
Brian Bilston.
What's his name?
Julia, Sue, Mark. Could you see the pasta one or not?
No.
I couldn't see it.
Okay, I'll read it. I'll read it to you. So, strangely enough, by the same guy, Bill Bilston or whatever. She blew her fusilli, my pretty penny, when she found me watching daytime tagliatelle. Je ne spaghetti rien, I responded in song, but she did not linguini for long. Just walked out without further retort. a hard lesson to be tortellini, or so I thought. And so here I am on my macaroni, and now my days feel cannelloni.
That's so cute.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Clever guy, clearly.
He is clever. Yeah, definitely worth looking for some things by him because he's very witty.
What's he called?
He's called Brian Bilston. But
Bilston.
one of the things he does is, have you ever seen one of those poems? They're really, really clever, where if you read down the lines, it sounds really negative, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you read it backwards from the bottom and read up, it still makes sense, but it's really positive. I don't know if you've ever seen a poem like that, but they must be really difficult to write.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely worth searching out, I think.
Yeah.
Brian Bilston.
Gina's got a poem that she's been reading.
It's about Granny. About Granny. I'm a granny and a great granny. And this is through every nook and every cranny, the wind blew in on poor old Granny, round her knees and into each ear, and up her nose as well, I fear. All through the night, the wind grew worse. It nearly made the vicar curse. The top had fallen off the steeple, just missing him and other people. It blew on man, it blew on beast, it blew on nun, it blew on priest. It blew the wig off Auntie Fanny, and most of all, it blew on Granny.
That's nice.
It's Spike Milligan.
Yes.
It reminds me, actually, my friend's my friend's pregnant, and she's been reading a book called what is it called? Something like Baby Tips for Grandparents. So she's going to give it to her parents because she's pregnant. And she sent a picture of one just saying, even if you've failed with 2 generations, don't try to realise your dreams for a 3rd. And then final thought, never say I'm not just a cheap babysitting service, because the fact is you are. It was very good. Who's got grandkids?
I'm a great granny.
Yeah, I've got 6 grandchildren.
I've got 4 great grandchildren.
And a great grandchild coming in September. Yeah.
And what did you say, Mark?
No, I haven't.
No.
Do you have children yourselves?
I've got 2.
I've got 4 children.
4. I've got 4.
I had 5, but we've got 4 now.
You've got Mark's got 2.
I had 2, but my daughter's 49, but my son died suddenly when he was nearly 17, 29 years ago. He'd never had a day's illness in his life, and he was 6'5". They used to call him the gentle giant, and he went to bed and he just didn't wake up. And it was when computers were just coming out, and and he was doing his A-levels, and they reckon that he'd had a silent epileptic fit, and because he slept on his stomach, he died of asphyxiation. And he was due the next day. He died on the Sunday night, Monday morning, and he was due on the Wednesday to go for a candidate to go in to be to train for a Salvation Army officer for the ministry at the Bible College. Yes, but he did more in his 17 years than what a lot of people did in his lifetime. In their lifetime, he used to go and help at it's called a lighthouse now, but it used to be a place for homeless in Plymouth. He helped with a disabled group in Exmouth. He helped with a part of his A-level course. He was working with the children at the creche at this comprehensive school. And there were so many people. He was so well known in Exmouth. But but anyway, my daughter was doing her nurse's training at the time, and she came home, and she just took over. She was absolutely marvelous. She wasn't 20 then, but yeah, it's difficult, but I have a great faith, and he had a great faith, so I know we'll be together one day. But as humans, we miss them dreadfully. So you wonder.
Like an exceptional
and there was one of his school friends. When he was at the junior school, they weren't so friendly in this scene. St. John had left school by then, but he put Andrew on a pedestal, and he went through drugs and everything, and it's so sad to see him now. He's just he keeps on saying, "Oh, I wish Andrew was back here," But it's difficult. But anyway, he's been helping, hasn't he, Julia, our lunch club? He's been coming, washing the dishes and things like that. And his mother wondered if it would be
yesterday, but he didn't see me.
No, we've seen him from a distance. But his mother's a friend of ours, thought it might be a bit too much for me because he talks about Andrew all the time. But I don't mind. Andrew was part of our life for 17 years, and we talk about him all the time, don't we, Sue?
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's it. So anyway, but I haven't. My daughter and son-in-law, they couldn't have any children, so they decided not to adopt. But they've got a cat, so that's there. So I've got a grand cat. But we've got loads of nieces and nephews, and they're all a lot younger than mine were. So, we're blessed.
Sharing, Mark. Really, really sad to hear, but thanks.
Well, my 4 children are all over the place, so I rarely see them. I probably see my Scottish daughter. I would say Scottish. She's not really Scottish, but she lives near Inverness, so it's not very near. And she can come down probably twice a year. Perhaps I go to Germany to see my eldest son. My youngest son lives in Serbia, and my other one is just taken over headship last year of a big school in London. So I don't see much. I mean, I don't mind because we can keep in contact in different ways. And because I lived abroad so often, I couldn't get home anyhow because we lived in those sort of countries. So we're used to the distance. We still love each other, but we don't necessarily have to be on each other's doorstep, so to speak. And and they're very independent.
Yes,
yeah. And I mean, Belinda in London has just been running like an escalator, going up an escalator. It's coming down all the time because she tried to get the school lifted for the first year. And then when we've got the first year, and just as she's sort of thinking, well, we'll have to keep that going and encourage the teachers and so on, and the coronavirus comes in and the whole thing changes. And of course, the staff are still as busy in school as when they were open, because they're in there to take the classes and set up all the various things that they're sending out to their pupils. And then they can't go in too often because all these things happening. But she also has to plan for when they're going to open and see what they can do. And so, she's in school 3 or 4 days a week at the moment. It has been for months now. So that she's, and even in the holidays, in the Easter holidays, when everything was blowing up into something, she was into school. So so I'm not expected to see her till next year.
No. They do lead very busy lives, don't they now?
Yes,
they do. I can hear a helicopter going over my house. Can you hear it?
It's not a police one, is it? Looking for you, Jean?
I can't see it. Can't see it. No, I can hear it very loud.
I haven't any children, but I've been in labour.
Right.
When Margaret was expecting her daughter, I didn't even know she was in hospital, and I had terrible pains in my stomach, and I just didn't know what it was. And so I had the afternoon off work, and then we were in different parts of the country, and then my father phoned me up to say that Marg had a little girl. When she had Andrew, I didn't have any pains at all. And I phoned up my mum. I was in Canada then. And Mum said, they've taken Margaret in. And I thought, oh my gosh, here it goes. But I didn't with Andrew. But I was just as close to both of them. And so if anybody says, have you got any children? I say, no, but I've been in labour.
Oh, well.
Yes,
I like
sometimes
that.
husbands.
I'm like that. I like to share.
Share your pain.
Yeah.
Husbands sometimes get stomach ache when their wife is in labour. I don't ask me why, but you know, I don't. Anybody's ever had an explanation. Yeah.
Have you had other?
They say twins share a lot.
Have you had other things like that? Twin.
Yeah. Yes.
I have 5 children.
We've sent cards to our mother from different parts of the world, and they've been the same card.
Yeah.
And we used to live across the road from one another, and sometimes about 8 or 9 at night and 10 at night sometimes I'd think, I'll pop over and see Sue, and we'd meet in the middle of the road. She was coming over to see me, like, you know. And yes, we do, and we tend to end one another's sentence now, which is very frustrating.
I went to a Mennonite church where a husband and wife did the sermon together, and they just they went, and a couple of people talking on peace and pacifism and same sort of thing. When the wife started something and the husband finished off the, not just sentences, but sort of the pattern of it all. I was quite amazed, but it all flowed. It's just that it went from one voice to another voice. Yeah. What about you, Natalie?
What about me?
You've got children.
I've got 3 children, but I'm not. Well, I suppose I am old enough to be a grandmother, but I'm not. Only just. My eldest son, the one who had the birthday a couple of weeks ago. He's 26, and he's got a girlfriend. He doesn't live here. He lives in a flat. And then my son Ollie is 22, and he's upstairs. And he normally goes to university in Birmingham. And then I've got my daughter who's 18, who's just not finished her A-levels, but she's done very well at college. So I think I told you, she's going to university to do religious studies. So she's probably sort of the best organised of the 3 in terms of kind of preparing herself for higher education, or is it higher education? Yeah, higher education. But yeah, so I kind of we went through a phase just before lockdown and everything, where Jeff and I really sort of more or less had the house to ourselves, because Izzy's obviously quite independent, being 18, and both of the boys were living away. But really now we've come back to the way it was a year ago, or actually more than that, 2 years ago, with a house full, and me preparing full-on meals every night, and having to run around picking up dirty clothes and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a bit strange. And I know that I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for the children having to. I feel that their plans, more than anything, I think they've suffered the most, really, in terms of having to put their lives on hold, really.
Yeah.
All of their plans, they don't really know what they're going to be doing, and they don't know when they're going to be able to be independent again. I think it's a bit sad, really, but so it's fine. I just look after them, and I'm also doing some work at the moment for Devon County Council, so so I'm quite busy at the moment, which is lovely, but I'm doing it all from home, so it's great, really.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got something to focus the day on, haven't you, Natalie?
When
you've got your work from the different, yes, you've got a sort of side issue, and you can say, sorry, you get the supper tonight because I've got to do this before.
Well, this is true. You'd think that, Julia?
Well, you were hopeful.
Not necessary. The thing is, as you know, and I quite like cooking. I enjoy planning meals and thinking about, you know, trying new things. So I don't actually really mind it, but sometimes you get caught up with things and you have an expectation that you're going to be able to do something in a time frame, and then you can't, and then suddenly it's kind of 9 o'clock at night and nothing's done. You haven't finished all the things you've got to do, but that's, you know, that's okay. But yeah, I still try just to fit everything in.
That's nice though.
I try and get Ollie, because Ollie's quite a good cook. I try and get him to cook sometimes, and he's had lots of part-time jobs at restaurants. And there was a restaurant in Birmingham that he worked at. Have you ever heard of a chef called Marco Pierre White?
Yeah.
So Ollie went to work as a waiter there, and do you know, he would make £60 a night in tips. £60 a night. That's, I mean, I just thought that was ridiculous. More than his pay. But also the other thing that was interesting that he told me about Marco Pierre White is that he doesn't have a middle name, and he's actually called Mark White, and he is not French or Italian. He's just plain old Mark White.
Well, it works, isn't it? It makes
well, it impresses the clients. That's the important thing, isn't it? Yeah.
It sounds smart.
People with all those tips, and you can imagine they're paying a lot of money for the food. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes Ollie will do a bit of cooking, but you know, we've just sort of gone back. As I said, I feel like we've gone back a few steps.
was Ollie the oldest? Sorry, or
no, he's 22.
He's 22. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, he's at uni.
What's he doing at university?
He is doing something called digital marketing, which means that it's kind of following in his dad's footsteps, because his dad runs an advertising agency in Exeter. So where Andrew used to work. Andrew Cummins. Yeah. So that's how I got here, really. But yeah, and so it's sort of, you know, he's sort of a bit of a chip off the old block, I suppose you'd call him, and he's really interested in marketing and modern ways of advertising, which is things like, you know, Facebook advertising and social media and promoting products on social media. So that's what he does. But he took a long time. He's taken a long time to decide what he wants to do and feel confident that he's chosen the right thing. It's taken him much longer, but I think that's a good thing. You know, he's tried.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, no.
You know, and so he's all right. Yeah, he's just asleep a lot at the moment. Not doing much. But yeah, so we'll get back to Birmingham soon, hopefully.
And then he can go.
At least he doesn't bother you, does he, if he's asleep?
Sorry, I don't have to worry about him if he's in Birmingham. That's the thing. What we do is every couple of weeks we do a Tesco's delivery for food for him, so that he doesn't have to worry about buying food. And then he's got a job up there as well, which is doing some advertising for a bathroom company. So he's done quite well with that, and he goes there a couple of days a week and works for them. And then yeah, so he's actually been financially he's been really independent, you know, managing and we just kind of said, well, what can we do, you know, what can we do to support you? So we thought perhaps a food shop once a fortnight was a good thing to do.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a practical way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you chuck in surprises, or is it always...
I do. Things like tiramisu, he likes, which is an Italian creamy chocolatey thing.
Yeah. Coffee as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, with coffee as well. What else does he like that I sometimes put in? Oh, those Tunnocks tea cakes.
Oh, yeah.
I like those, yeah. So we have a growing list of things that we can sort of choose from and put a little treat in there every fortnight.
I was wondering, maybe for the last like 15, 20 minutes or so, would you we could, I'd be really interested to just talk a bit about like loneliness, really, like strange topic. I know, don't have to say anything, but obviously everyone's now starting to get back outside a little bit and seeing people. But when do you feel lonely? Do you feel lonely at all?
I don't really, no.
No? Personally, I was going to say...
I've been to our village this afternoon and been
Yeah.
to the shop and bought 1 or 2 things. So my daughter-in-law took me, and so that's about 2 miles. And so we've I don't get out very much, but I do go out. And I don't drive anymore, so I have to be taken, out. And but I quite enjoy that. I don't look to go out every day. I'm quite happy in my house.
Jean, you are surrounded by your family, I guess.
Well, some of them are here some of the time, but some of them are not,
Yeah.
But they live in parts of Devon, different scattered about. And I've got several great-grandchildren and all that. But I have got a sister who lives at Teignmouth, and she's older than I am, and she's well in her 90s. And and I have a brother that lives up in Middlesex, and he's because we were from London, you see, when we were quite small, and we were all scattered about, and we'd stayed in different parts of the country. And I still live in Devon. I've been in Devon for years, and nearly all my life. And my daughter-in-law, she's sort of she lives here now, and she's got her husband which is my son, and I share the house with her because it's quite a big house and there's room for us all to live quite happily.
That's nice.
Do you share meals and stuff like that together, or do you?
I have ready meals, and I do go out and have a meal in and out, and I'm all right really. But I don't do any cooking anymore. I'm a bit elderly, and but I'm still tagging along, and I still got several great-grandchildren, which I see occasionally.
I speak to one woman every week. I give her a call because she used to come to our physical groups in Cholmondeley. If you know Cholmondeley, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cholmondeley, actually lived at Cholmondeley for a year or two when we were married.
She lives near there, and she used to come to the groups, but she doesn't have the internet or anything, so.
No, I don't have that.
So I give her a call once a week or so. And
that's nice, isn't it?
a farmhouse with her family as well, and it's difficult because they're there, but also they're always running around and doing stuff, and she very much doesn't want to ask them for anything, if you know what I mean.
No.
I don't know how she is. Sometimes you definitely get the impression that just because there's people there doesn't mean that
it's true.
Company, you know what I mean?
You can be in a room full of people and you can still be lonely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite interesting, but I mean, I don't ever feel, I'm not very good at being on my own. I can be on my own for a while, say for a day, but I know that I'm not very good after that. Yeah. My tolerance to loneliness is very low. Yeah. But interestingly, I think if I go out, I'm not very good at big groups. So if I go out into, say, to a party or something like that, which doesn't happen very often, might be once or twice a year, but I feel I have that sense of being in a room of people, but feeling very cut off and lonely. It just doesn't, it's not how I operate. Better on a small group.
A smaller group, yes. It's being in a crowd and feeling alone, isn't it? It's not just lonely, it's alone, almost as we used to have quite a lot of do's when we were living abroad because people would throw drinks parties and everything, and I hated them, and my husband enjoyed it, and he'd know half the people, but because he was working, so he met them, but I didn't, and I only knew a few, and I used to feel awfully alone. And all those questions which you get at drinks party, you know, oh, have you been here long? What are you doing? And you know, it's just like a cocktail party, only it wasn't cocktails. But, you know, yes, you can feel alone, yes. But yes, I know exactly how you feel, Natalie, yeah. I'm not very good in a big group, yeah.
I used to find in London, someone asked me, I can't remember what the question was exactly, but I realised that when I lived in London, I would go and just sit at like the South Bank or something like that. Like when I needed to clean or needed time to myself, I would go to this part of the city, which and just sort of watch people, which I only realised recently. And obviously now moving to Devon, my whole mindset sort of shifted that if I need time to myself, I'm going to go to the most remote part of Dartmoor or the most remote part of the forest or something like that. So it's really strange how my
it's what people miss about going to church, isn't it? Not because they're going to a service, but they can go into a church and be on their own, right in there, nobody else, just the doors are open and they can go in and out. And I think people who know nothing about Jesus would just go there because it's out of the busyness of life for half an hour, take a book, whatever it is, or sit in a cemetery. I mean, under a tree, it doesn't matter where.
I enjoy my morning walks. I don't see anybody, hardly anybody, but I never feel alone. And I can honestly say I don't think I'm blessed in having Sue, you know. But when I was younger, I used to feel, perhaps when I got married first and moved away, I used to feel quite lonely. But no, I'm not alone. I'm quite happy in my own little bubble. You know, I say sometimes I'm antisocial because I'm quite happy with just the family and things like that. And but I do, you know, go out and meet people. But I don't like being in a large crowd. And I'd rather be in the background any day. I don't like to be the centre of attention, or I don't like to. I hate that. I just like to be in the background.
We have noticed, Marg, when you get thanked at the end of the year for all the meals you provided for the lunch club, you have to drag her, you know, with great big horses out of the kitchen to give her a bunch of flowers or a pot plant, and that's it. But, you know, Marg's all then, oh, it's all right, I've got to finish the washing up. But on the other hand, I went on a 5-day, Monday to Friday, silence up at, I've forgotten what place it's called, up in North Devon, lovely place. And they've got lots of conference people. It's a Christian thing, but it's lots of conferences going on, youth groups and all sorts of things. But the people who were doing silence had little badges saying hush, so nobody spoke to us except to say hello. And that's all. And it was quite an experience. From the middle of Monday after lunch until Friday after lunch, there was silence, except for 3/4 of an hour a day when you just chatted to somebody who came in and said, how are you getting on, and made suggestions of how you could fill the day. But it's a very, very salutary experience, and I mean, I really enjoyed it. But suddenly you've got no mobile, no radio, nothing, except books and the ability to go for walks and do things. And it's really good. And they actually had a program on the television. I think there were 6 of them, and they went into silence. It was into somebody's abbey, I remember, but they weren't necessarily Christians. It wasn't that. They just didn't try it. And some of them really, really enjoyed just being on their own and just enjoying it. And they went home and tried to do it with the family, but the family didn't really appreciate having an hour in the house and not talking to anybody. 2 teenagers and a husband. They did have a shot at it. But since I'm out of that, you know, it comes that experience. And so, it was a friend of mine, when I told her about it, she said, I couldn't do that. What would I do with my mobile? I mean, we did live without mobiles once, you know, and telephones and televisions and radios. But you do notice things. I mean, they suggested, for instance, one day to go down and just do a walk and see how many things you could notice. And it was amazing. You made 20 or 30 lists, but in about 100 yards, a beetle crossing across, a big black beetle, or a fern in the water, or how the pebbles shone, things that you never ever do, you know, normally.
Do you remember, I can't remember whether I told you, but when we were very, very much in the midst of lockdown, I would go down to the beach every day, and of course the weather would change, and I take a little bit of video of the surface of the water right next to the shore, and I got some beautiful bits of film with the sun glinting down on the water and this water sparkling. And I just, that was the sort of thing I'd never dream of doing that, or even have the time really, or even the space in my head to have done that. But it was something, I mean, everyone in the family thought it was hilarious, but I really enjoyed it, you know, just kind of going down and actually seeing what the sea looked like, and seeing where is the sun and how is that, you know, on the water. And it's really
the same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're aware of something that you never had time before. Yes.
Yeah.
It was,
We have a friend that lives in Northampton, and she was due to come down soon, and she loves the seaside. And so when I've been out on some of my walks, I've been doing that. It's been down by the beach, and as the tide's been coming in, I've just been doing a small video of the sea, you know, the waves coming in different times, and sending it to her. And she's really, she's kept them all and really appreciated them.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
I stood in my little tiny scrubby garden the other day. There was sunshine on it, and I happened to be, I'm not out there very often because I burn, and I was sort of counting all the sorts of bees we had, and the ladybirds. It takes a little while to sort of work, and all the flowers are almost gone now. The plant doesn't seem to want to work in the garden very well, but it was full of flowers, and I could find out which ones and how many bees there were on one particular plant. I thought, I'll have some more of them because I can get more bees next year, but there were bumblebees and 3 different sorts of ladybird, and I thought, it's from that experience
there seems to be a lot of ladybirds this year, I've noticed. I don't know if
different colours. And I guess that's when people talk about creation, that's what they're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looking at the things around us. Yeah.
Oh, I found a cherry tree near my house the other day. So I'm doing what you're saying actually. I found there's a little tiny little wood, I guess, not far from my house. It's only in the middle of Exeter, but I've been walking through there and just being like, oh, what's
eating cherries?
But yeah, they're not ready. But I took a photo and then went home and there's an app that you can use. So it's weird what you're saying, Julia, about seeing better, but
yes.
An app
it's noticing them, isn't it?
I'm seeing.
Busy. Yeah.
I hope it stays in a way. I hope that somehow mentally I can stay in a place where I can notice things and make myself spend the time doing that, because I think it's really important and quite beneficial. And so I hope that I can make myself or not get back into that way of life where I'm constantly rushing, feeling I've got all of these things to fulfill, and that has to be put to one side, because I haven't been doing as much ironing as usual, and I don't really understand why that is. And I think it's just because I don't have a set schedule, and somehow that doesn't seem as necessary for me to do it as I always used to do it on Sunday morning when I was listening to the radio, and I don't do that necessarily anymore. And I'm kind of thinking I might not go back to doing it, and this is a set routine, and I might just be able to just leave it and put it to one side and just do something much nicer. So I don't know whether that will stay.
A few people were a bit concerned for me because they thought I wouldn't cope in lockdown. But I've really enjoyed it. I've had time to do things, because usually people know I am quite a busy person, but I've found I've had time to do different things and enjoy the garden and get it what we wanted to do. And this weekend we should have been going away on our holiday for 5 weeks, and we're going to miss it. But then we've got our garden. We've got a beautiful garden that we can enjoy. And like I said to Sue this morning when we were along the seafront, it was about 9 o'clock. I'd go down there early in the morning myself, but Sue, it's nice to have Sue, and we'd go down there that time. But usually we'd never do that because it'd be a bit much for Sue to do that and go out and do something else later on. So we've really enjoyed it. And people are more friendlier, I think, now. They'll speak to you, you know, and things like that. And I just hope and pray it will continue.
Do you mind, so I was looking at poems and stuff before coming on, and I like poetry. I hosted a poetry thing at the start of lockdown to try and get people to talk about, with my friends, some of this stuff. And there's one that taps to this, so I just read it very quickly, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've forgotten what it's called, but it says, "And when there is nothing left to do but live, let us retire the noise and build a home inside the stillness. Grab a wrench and unfasten the parts of you that have become mechanical. Rest your weary limbs in the bed of anomaly. Outside, the machine is powering down. You can hear the birds when the gears aren't grinding. When there is nothing left to do but live, make a vacation of your body, each part explored, a stamp on your passport. Begin with your heart, maybe. Crawl inside and sightsee, ask difficult questions about who it is and why. Outside, the machine is powering down. You can hear yourself when the gears aren't grinding. When there is nothing left to do but live, simply show up. That has always been enough. And together in this sudden strangeness, radical imagination will run wild. Tomorrow being built today."
Very nice.
Very nice. I like crawl inside and sightsee.
Yeah, with a passport for your places.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
Maybe for next week, people could notice some things in the week. If there's anything small, or I loved what you said about just the way the light shifted, or you know, an insect crawling in a certain way, or anything like that. I'd love to hear some things. We talk about I don't know, maybe you've heard of the 5 ways of well-being. It's like an NHS initiative, and they say that the 5 ways of well-being are you know, to give to other people. It makes you feel better by giving, by being active makes you feel better, to keep learning makes yourself feel better. There's one other one, and then there's take notice. So just by taking notice, like by being mindful, it's good for your mindset. So, and Natalie, I don't mean to be I don't know how this comes out, but something that I'm very aware of, I heard a while ago, is they say, like, women in general, the biggest, you know, all the conversations about equality and everything, they say one of the biggest things that people don't talk about is women just don't have time for themselves. Like, they can go off and play golf or whatever, you know, go fishing for 3 hours and just be there, you know.
Yeah.
Women curl up with a book.
Yeah.
Expected to be moving.
I think that has. I would have said that a couple of years ago, I would have definitely been in that category. And what I think is really interesting, it's probably a little bit controversial as well, but I do think it's having this virus come has given people who had no time the opportunity to reflect and to change the way that they think. And I just think it's a real shame that alongside that, we actually have a horrible disease with people being really sick and dying. And there's, in a way, it's the kind of just an interesting
combination.
The fact that you know, actually I feel that I've been blessed with time and space in my head to kind of think and look at new ways of thinking and all of that kind of thing. But actually, there's an awful side to that as well. And I just think it's a shame that's the case. But there's always that mixed blessings thing, isn't there? It's all, you never have good and bad always sit side by side, I suppose, don't they? Yeah.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
It's the fact that we've had the virus, which is serious.
Yeah.
But the benefit of that is the fact that we have had that time not only to clear the house and do whatever we want to do. I mean, the charity shops say they're going to have lots of input because people have emptied their houses.
Yeah.
But yes, but we also have the time to sort of assess what we think is important, but only because we've got the virus.
Yes.
So suddenly life has thrown up that we might lose a member of our family, not the young ones because they don't seem to be so affected, but the older members of our family and our friends and our work colleagues.
Yeah.
It's a desperate thing. And then what on earth am I doing with the time that I've been allotted? Right, I think I'll sort myself out. And as you say, let's hope it happens.
Yes.
But, people do think, yes, that's not as important as I thought it was.
Yes, yeah.
Even queuing in a long queue. Stop.
Well, lovely to see you all. And
you.
So what are we going to do next week?
Just maybe a combination of, like Julia said, some if you have a favourite, like a desert island disc that you wanted to tell us about, and if you email me a song beforehand, I can try and get together, get prepared.
All right.
What's
your email?
What's your email, Julia?
It's on email.
I've emailed everyone apart from Julia, actually, because I spoke to Julia before. So what's your email, Julia? Sorry.
Mine?
Yeah.
Julia Chappell, spelled double PLE.
Yeah.
At, let me think, my post office.
Yeah.
.co.uk.
I send you an email now. But yeah, if you wanted to email me a song or anything, a book, I can prepare a little bit and we can just share that, Desert Island Disc. And then also, if there's anything you noticed in the week, that you want to share something small.
Right.
Lovely to see you.
Okay.
And,
nice to see you all.
I will just say quickly, sorry. I have been this week talking to a few different social prescribers around the county, so fingers crossed some more people will start joining us, but we'll see.
Aren't we enough for you, Harry?
You're plenty, but not for my bosses.
Had enough. No, you're wrong, Natalie. He's had enough of us.
No, it's not me. Lovely to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Bye. Everyone. Bye.